Thank you. So here we are for the last meeting in February, and I guess we'll begin with a review of the minutes from our last meeting. Any corrections?
I don't, but leave me the ability to put that fella's, the cricket field guy's last name in there. 'Cause
Okay.
we rarely do first names here that way.
Okay.
So, but with that coming addition, I make a motion to approve.
I thought cricket field guy was enough.
Cricket field guy might be better than him.
Right? Mike?
Yes.
PJ?
Yes.
Gene?
Yes. Okay, so, scheduled reports. Chief, you're on.
Okay, calls for the month of January. EMS calls, we had 41 last time, the same time this year. Last year is 41 also.
Wow.
How close can you get? Fire calls is 22 for this month, last month, and 21 for the last year. Total calls are 63 and 62 last year. Mutual aid given was 12, 10 last year. Mutual aid received was 5, 6 last year. Total transports is 29, 25 for last year. Non-transports is 11, 20 for last year. Transfer to other agencies 1, and 0 for last year. Total patients is 41, they had 45 last year. Multiple calls was at 9.52%. Last year was 19.35%. That's a big change. Month of January, we only had 3 back-to-back calls. That's it for my report.
Any questions for the chief from the board to start with? No? Okay. Any other questions from anybody for the fire chief? Okay. I guess we'll move on then to our trustee and fiscal officer reports, and we'll start with Mr. Troyan.
Okay, the only thing I wanted to go through was, we went through some proposals from the fire department that we sent up to the prosecutor's office. And the report back from the prosecutor's office is that they are working on a publication that they're going to be sending out regarding the ARP funds altogether, all encompassing answering everybody's questions. So they didn't address the specific items we asked for. She felt that'll be addressed in the correspondence that'll be coming down. I think it'll be going to all the townships, not just to us. So I think that's going to apply to the generator, all those, the fence. I think, hoping that everything will be addressed in the upcoming documentation. Hopefully we should have that within a week. And the only other thing was, I believe the maintaining the law and order up at the Ladue is predominantly done with the park rangers, but I'm sure it's done in coordination with the sheriff's department, so we don't have any people up here. This all comes down to the fact that we have allowed ice fishing out there for a long time. I think we really have to up our ante on checking out the shanties on the lake, just to make sure that, because you know what happens.
Just be careful where you're going with this, okay?
I'm not going anywhere.
All right.
I just think we should monitor it. You know.
Have you been looking at those and wondering what's going on out there?
Yeah.
No, never.
Yeah,
I
so,
never.
you know.
I never did that actually.
Let's just tread lightly.
That's all I had. Unless you want to expound.
No, I do not.
You sure? You know.
No. Okay. Mr. Kavanaugh.
Yeah, this will be mostly road stuff. I think maybe all of those things. We met last week with Rachel Formica was there, Nick Goris was there, Emmerich was there, and me. Kind of did a relaunch of the Stafford Road project, which never happened last year, and we're gonna, last I heard they were gonna try to set something up for late this week or early next week to get the contractor in here and all the interested parties, we're pretty confident we don't need the utilities in here anymore, because that was the big hang-up last year. And that work's all been done. We're going to have to, as a board, discuss some edits to this year's projects, a small edit. I think I said something last week about it, they're looking at a 16–18% beyond what they originally estimated these projects at. I'm not surprised, I hope it stops at 16–18%. But we want to bring it back from, the re-estimate would put us at 1,060,000,
Right.
66,000. We'd like to roll that back somewhere closer to 950, which is kind of what we've been doing. So there's going to have to be a small edit. We'll get it when Emmerich's in here the next time. I think that's when we should have that discussion.
He had mentioned what the cutback might be, and that, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and either way, again, this comes back to the ARP funds.
Right.
I mean, that's, hey, inflation, that's a big part of what's going on with this whole COVID thing, and it's all byproduct, so I think that'll leave us wide open to the estimated additional costs that we would be incurring because of COVID-related issues.
Yeah, you could certainly say this is COVID-related. We gotta remember that though, this is a one-year Band-Aid. So next year, is everything gonna snap back to normal? I don't think so.
Well,
So,
what I was
at some
thinking,
point, we're
what I was
gonna have to
thinking, again,
address-
what we look at is, what's our time frame on the funding? Is it like a 4 year?
I think we got 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
3 years? I think it's 3 years.
So I think part of what we should consider for the funding is to say, okay, if we're seeing such a percentage of increase for the road projects, for example, break down 4 individual amounts of money for each of the 4 years to go toward those projects.
Supplement, yeah.
Supplement, then that'll give us time to at least watch whether things are gonna stabilize or get worse.
Well, according to Emmerich, I mean, even with the cutbacks that I'm sure you've already just talked to him about, we're still looking at doing our average of about 4 miles
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, would we like to do the other one? Fine, but we're still maintaining our schedule, so. That's the good news.
Yeah, it's a minor edit.
Right,
It would be a
right.
minor edit. But that's on the list here. Now, you guys will be interested in this. Nick Goris mentioned that there's gonna be some road closures over on Monroe this year. They're gonna do the bridge, and with closures, they're gonna have detours. They're gonna do Clemens Creek there, south of the vet clinic.
It's a ditch.
Yeah, I know. And then they're doing 2 down by...
That's the COVID funding, they're putting in a drawbridge.
There should be 2
Jesus.
pipes down by Bartholomew, I guess they're doing too. So,
Right. Culver's by Bartholomew?
he's calling them bridges, although I never thought of Clemens Creek as a bridge, but that's definitely what they're talking about. That's one of them.
Well, I think if you make a culvert big enough, they call it a bridge.
I think
Okay.
that's what's going on there. So there's gonna be, and that's coming this summer, so. Rest of it, I think, is on the agenda here, Fred, so we'll get to that then. So I'm done.
Okay. And I guess anything I have to report is on this, old business, so I think I'll just go to Fred.
I don't have anything to report necessarily. We're going to talk about the cemetery fencing and a couple of the other projects under old business, so I will cede my time and we'll talk about those when we get to them.
Well, let's go right to old business. We got the conservation amendment, parking lot expansion. Since before I got elected, I've been hearing from Emmerich that Joe Katowski was supposed to get us these maps to take to them. So finally, I asked for Joe's number and I called him. And he assured me that Emmerich would have those in his hand this week now. And I told Emmerich, I called Emmerich today, I didn't know he was off, and I said, if you don't have those in your hand tomorrow, you call me and I will go down to his office and I'll sit there till he gives them to us, because obviously we're all in anticipation of the Indiana bat coming back by the end of March, so this is something that we just
Getting
can't
timely.
sit by. Yeah, so like I said, I don't know what the holdup's been. In fact, after talking to Joe, some of the maps that I think they're requiring, he's already done once before. I mean, it's not like we're asking for the moon.
Yeah, it shouldn't be anything new for them.
Yeah, so I guess that's until we have those in our hand and they're sent to the conservation group, that's where we are with that, and I'll just keep it under old business. Okay, the quote received from Hartman Electric, the 45,261 for Adam Hall. Emmerich and I met with a Manaway electric group, and they also came down. We spent probably 2 hours down there going over everything, and so I think that'll be another competitive bid we'll get. So we'll see how that goes. One of the things this guy mentioned, and these guys been, in fact, I think we've used these people before in the past. One thing he mentioned is, with these size generators, we're looking at an 80, is that gas line gonna be big enough to handle that when those kick on? And so, that's something else that we're gonna have to look at. But they did a real thorough job. We went upstairs, up in the attic, we were all over. He looked at the lines coming in, where everything came in, so hopefully we'll be getting that quote here shortly, and then we'll have something that we can go on. I think we have, a $50,000 threshold before we'd actually have to go out to bid on that, which, again, if you have to go out to bid for that, just to draw the plans for what we want there will probably cost you $15,000. So, let's hope that we can get a good bid and we can move in on that. Okay, Fred and everybody, quote, receive Auburn Fence, Shady Side Cemetery, Simpson's quote of $31,840. At the last meeting, we asked Fred to see where that money can come from, since we can't use the money that was given to us by the church. And Fred, tell us what you know.
We talked a little bit earlier, I'm 99.9% sure we can use the ARP money for that. And the only 1% that I'm not sure about is the wording in the basic generic language of the ARP funding, which is for revenue replacement. And again, we're waiting for the prosecutor to come down on what exactly that can be used for. So there's that little bit of a gray area, but from my general reading of it, we would be able to use the ARP funding. I guess my suggestion would be we do a motion tonight to accept the bid, pending the ARP funding will be available for it up to the bid amount.
Yeah, I'm sure it showed up in the minutes. I'd have to do some work, but this has been, it must have been documented, because we discussed this several times in meetings.
Right.
At one point, we were going to go with a hedgerow until we kind of gave it a second or third thought about that, and this is a little prettier and less maintenance. So the intention was always there for us to spend this money.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't something new that popped up just because we got
Let's go for it.
a pot, so.
Let's just,
Is
Fred,
that your motion?
whatever Fred said, I'm making that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it. And that would be for the $32 foot fence?
The 4-inch one, right? That was a
The good
2
stuff.
four. The good
You
one.
wanna go the $43 a foot?
I would.
Yeah.
Does that change the motion?
No, well, that's, there's $10,000 difference there. All right, so we've got the Auburn fence quote for Regis 4,000 fence at plus or minus $43 a foot. And if that's the motion, then I would be the one to second that.
And I'm looking at a total of $42,785, is that right?
Yes. I think it's important to get this ordered just because we see how everything's.
Well, again, we're gonna
Right.
blink and May's gonna
Yeah.
be here if you want this up before Memorial Day.
All right, Mike,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Gene?
Yes. Auburn Volunteer Fire Department proposal project using ARP funds.
Again, we're holding that until we get the information from the prosecutor.
New business, resolution 2022-08, adopting the Geauga County Commissioners Highway Use Manual and authorizing the Geauga County Engineer Office to issue and enforce all policies and procedures outlined therein.
Is that a motion, Gene?
Is there anything you want to add to that, Fred?
Sounds like a motion to me.
That's a motion.
I'll second.
Mike,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Gene?
Yes. And the last thing under new business, appoint 2 representatives to the Chagrin River Watershed Partners. Do we usually do that? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
It's
we
usually
have.
the chairman and vice chairman, or basically anybody else who isn't me. So,
I see that. I
I'll
see
make
that.
the motion that PJ be primary and you can be our secondary.
I
Is
see.
that so? Is that the way it goes for
You
you?
know, really, I have gone to these meetings. The ones that they hold in Geauga County,
Yeah.
I try to make those. The Zoom one, I don't know if I'm going to make a Zoom one. You know, they've been pretty good to us. They've helped us with all this grant, all the playground grants and things like that. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I tend to get the ones they hold in Geauga County.
That was the second, right?
And they,
Yep, that was
they
the
will let
second.
us know when those meetings are.
Well, there's one Thursday, but that's a Zoom.
Mike?
Yes.
PJ?
Yes.
Gene?
Yes. Okay. Kind of a short meeting tonight, Ray. There's nothing else on the book. Does anybody from the audience have anything you'd like to discuss this evening? Diane, anything?
No, but I'd be looking forward to seeing the warrants. So.
Absolutely, yes. And I owe them to these guys too, so
Yeah,
you will get the list of
yeah,
warrants.
so that would be for the February 7th
Month of
meeting.
February.
And,
Whole month of February.
yeah, right. And actually at the second meeting of January as well.
I probably ought to bring up, there should be a requisition in here for another salt order. We have one outstanding, that the intention was to get the whole thing delivered on Saturday.
Well, they couldn't. You heard what?
Couldn't find drivers.
They got salt, they just don't have drivers to
Couldn't
deliver
find
it.
drivers.
Welcome to the new
So he was
world order.
he was gonna put a large order in, just to get us on the list. We got 4 loads
Yeah.
Saturday morning.
That's what I heard.
It's a jungle out there.
I think that was a movie.
There it is right there, car, 1,000 tons.
Anything else, Carl? Tom, anybody? I mean, this is an awful short meeting.
Pancake
You
breakfast
can
at the
see-
firehouse.
That's
Oh, yeah.
right, the Pancake
This weekend.
Breakfast is this weekend at the fire, don't believe everything you read in the Bainbridge Banner, okay? It's at the fire department, it's not at Adam Hall.
And I said at the last meeting, they're gonna have 2 of them.
Yes.
They changed that, and they're just gonna have the one next Sunday.
This one coming up, there's none on the
This one,
first
there's not
Sunday in
one on the
March.
1st of March.
There's not,
There's not,
just one.
just one.
How do we get the word out on that?
Okay, based on the crickets chirping, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mike?
Yes.
PJ?
Yes.
Gene?
Yes. I feel like you guys didn't really get your money's worth, but we did get some things done.
Gene put a tie on and
I
everything
put
here.
time
so-
on.
Hey, Gene.
Yes.
Think this was a short meeting?
Yeah.
Just think if we were doing them every week.
Well, and again, you guys have become so efficient that, you know, 16 years ago when I was on board, the first quarter, we met every Monday. We did. I think, I'm not sure, that Mr. Everly might come to the next meeting to give us an update on Windstream.
Oh, good.
Good.
How's John doing?
I haven't seen him, he had called me tonight for a minute to say that he was probably gonna come because he's got some news to share with us.